na ang pinakabongga, punong-puno ng fun and excitement. Itong in na in, iba ang dating. The new TV experience is here. Hataw Pinoy Chicago. It will change your viewing habit. It's hip, sassy, ang galing-galing. Hataw Pinoy Chicago.
What's up, yo? This is Apple, the Apple, the Black Eyed Peas, and you're watching Hataw Pinoy Chicago. Yeah!
Hi, I'm Edgar Jimenez, the president of Filipino American Network, and you're watching Hataw Pinoy Chicago.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat mga Pinoy at Pinay, and welcome to Hataw Pinoy Chicago. And this afternoon, we are very fortunate to spend it here in Parkridge at MrsA'sCupcakes with the very well-renowned author, Miss Amy Besa of Cendrillon fame. And Purple Yam now. Okay. And kumusta po kayo?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here in Chicago. And Parkridge.
Yeah. So this is not your first time in Chicago, I suppose.
No, I've been here many times, right? And you know, I have very good friends, and we have relatives here. So you know, it's a beautiful state, and so I'm very impressed. I was just telling Maridel, you know, I'm so impressed with the environmental, you know, advanced, you know, green methods of the buildings and water conservation, everything. I'm just very impressed with Illinois.
We love our state. Yeah. But anyway, what brings you to Chicago?
Well, I was invited by this group called Filipino Americans coming together, and every year they have a national conference in Champaign, the University of Illinois and Urbana-Champaign campus. And this year they've had like 1,500 attendees. And the whole point is to gather as many Filipino Americans in many universities all across the United States. And it's really leadership development. And, you know, for them to be awakened to many issues that face Filipino Americans in this country, and to equip these students to be future leaders. And I led a workshop on Filipino food. And then I participated in a panel on entrepreneurship and business. So it was very good.
So I know that you're really an expert in your field. Having written this book, I know, you know, I've had this book for a while now, and it's called Memories of Philippine Kitchens, no? And I love this book. Why? Because it's not just recipes. It tells stories. It tells our stories. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about this book, because I know that every Filipino household should have one. And in fact, each Filipino should gift their non-Filipino friends with a copy of this book. So can you tell us about the making of, I know you did this, you wrote this with your husband, Romy Dorotan. So can you tell us about this book?
Well, you know, when we first got the contract, you know, somebody had actually dared me. You know, a friend of mine said, you know, I've been consulting for the Department of Tourism, and I don't have a book to show about, you know, to showcase Filipino culture and food. And usually food is a draw for tourism. And he said, you should write a book. And I said, yeah, right. You know, I said, okay, get me a publisher and I will write the book. Of course, you know, I never thought she would. And then she did. and like in a few months, I got a book contract. And I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've never written a book before. So the whole problem was really, how do you capture the essence of our culture and our food in one book? You know, because that's a very complex culture, and we have so many things that you can say about our food because we are regional, you know, and every region has something. So I just said, you know what, I will base this book based on my experience, you know, and say that this is not the book. This is from my perspective and from my history. Because every Filipino family will have their history. So, of course, our dream is that every Filipino with a tradition of cooking will do their own book, you know, because they have their own history. So I made this as personal as possible. And that's why the memories of Philippine kitchens I have here, I started off with my memories of my grandmother cooking for us. And of course, you know, what is great, one result of this is you find out that you are related to several people. Right. I've had several relatives from my grandmother's side, my grandfather's side, come to me and said, I was reading this book and we're from Iba, Zambales.
That's the same with me.
Yeah, we found out.
We just found out now, right?
So through the book, right? Yeah.
So what really struck me about this is that you also encourage, as you mentioned earlier, encourage your readers to explore, you know, to explore their own family histories and to explore, not just copy the recipe by rote, you know, just copy it verbatim, but, you know, make it their own. You encourage them.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know, food is, you know, recipes are just a way to express what we feel is the integrity of that dish. But we're not saying that this is it, but this is just what we think are the parameters. For example, like we believe that when we talk about adobo, right, there are millions of variations of adobo. I mean, you cannot count them. For even within the same family, people will cook adobo differently. So, but then how do you define adobo, right? So, our adobos are defined by the cooking method, and what defines adobo is vinegar. Okay, and then if you look at sinigang, what defines sinigang are sour fruits, and if you look at kinilaw, kinilaw is the oldest dish in the Philippines, because we are an archipelago. So if you look at what people originally ate, it's got to come from the ocean, the seas, and the rivers, right? And the most traditional way of cooking seafood at that time was to do kinilaw, which means you do not cook it, right? So in kinilaw, you use any kind of souring agent, which is vinegar, citrus, or sour fruits, right? So if you look at, to me, the three dishes that are really cooking methods that really define what is Filipino food are adobo, sinigang, and kinilaw. And what unites the three of them is the flavor sourness. So this is just what I want to do with the book, because whenever people are asked to define what is Filipino food, most people just end up making a list of dishes. Okay? But with this book, what I wanted to do was give people a framework with how to understand our food, and not just our food, but any other food. Yeah. So for me, you look at cuisines two ways, you know, food that was always ours because we ate the food that came from our environment, and then food that was borrowed but made our own.
Right, because a lot of people have made the observation that we borrowed a lot from the Chinese and the Spanish, but we will, and the Americans as well, right? So we will talk a little bit more about Filipino food, but we have to go on a short break. After we come back from break, we promise you that we will talk about her restaurant, Purple Yam. So wag po kayong alis, babalik agad ang Hataw Pinoy Chicago. Purple Yam.
Sa panahon ngayon, kailangang matalino tayo sa pagpili ng mga produkto at serbisyo. Sa dami ng mga padalahan ng balikbayan boxes, one company stands head and shoulders above the rest.
Sirera Express!
What makes Sirera Express different?
We have earned the trust and confidence of our customers because we always deliver on our promises. Containers released from the customs within 1 business day, with all duties, taxes, and tariff paid.
Check.
Boxes bound for Metro Manila delivered within 3 days after customs release.
Check.
Delivery to Central and Southern Luzon within 7 days.
Check. Check.
Delivery to Northern Luzon, Cagayan Valley, and Bicol region within 10 days.
Check.
Strong and durable double-wall boxes, plastic strapping, courteous, honest, and reliable service with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau.
Check. Check. Check.
We have been keeping our promises to our customers since 1989.
Try our service and experience for yourself the Sirera Express difference.
Sirera Express! Sirera Express!
Sa Sirera Express, hindi tayo kakaba-kaba.
O, ano pang hinihintay nyo? Tawag na sa 847-588-2500.
I am Alex Herrera and I approve this message.
Welcome back to Hataw Pinoy Chicago, mga kaibigan. And we're here at MrsA's Cupcakes in Park Ridge, and we're chatting with our newly found relative, very good author and excellent restaurateur, Miss Amy Besa. And before we went on break, we promised you that we would talk about purple yam. And why am I going to ask you about purple yam? It's all the way in New York, and we're here in Chicago. But you know, the one thing that really frustrates us Filipinos is that we see like all sorts of mga other Asian cuisines being mainstreamed, so to speak, like Chinese, the Vietnamese. They're very well accepted by non-Filipinos. But there's still parang a hesitance for them to try Filipino food. And why do you think that is, Amy?
I really think the most basic problem is how Filipinos view it themselves. And research has shown that when we were a colony of the United States, the Americans systematically sort of brainwashed Filipinos to think that their food was inferior. And that was a common theme. And they did it systematically through 3 ways. One is through the educational system, 2 through the mass media and advertising, and 3 through published materials, which are cookbooks and magazines and all that. And the running theme was that our national dish of fish and rice was nutritionally deficient. And you will find that in a lot of research papers done by professors in UP Los Baños, and you know, there is research data to show that when school children went to school in the public schools during the American system, many of them were forbidden to eat rice. They were forced to eat bread because the United States wanted us to be a market. We were a target market for their wheat, for their flour, and for all their canned products. So, you know, for them to say that rice and fish is nutritionally deficient, and then at the same time, what did they replace it with? But much so unhealthy food like Spam and corned beef and, you know, hot dogs and ice creams, all sugar. Now we have so much fast food in the country. Yeah, and most of that we got from the United States. And
so what did you do differently with the purple yam? Because I have heard, because I haven't been there myself, and I hope to be able to try having dinner at your restaurant when I visit New York. But what have you tried differently in purple yam to make it more inviting for non-Filipinos to come in and dine in?
Well, I think, you know, what is very key is that if you want to succeed in this business, you know, and I tell this to as many students, culinary students, as much as possible. If you want to succeed in this business, you first have to embrace your heritage. You have to understand your palate. You have to understand your own food. I think the main problem with many Filipinos who want to really achieve mainstreaming is that they think that the way to mainstream our food is to make it as Western as possible. I think that is
diluted na.
Yeah, like deconstructing it and making it look like molecular gastronomy, or no, you have to look at the integrity of the dish and preserve it. Then of course there's the whole process of presentation, and when we present and we serve our food, we try to preserve the Filipino values of hospitality and generosity, which means we do a lot of family style plating, where you pass around a platter, But then also, my husband, before we did this, was trained in the New American cuisine, which and the philosophy of that is to use the best ingredients. And I think, that is also one problem that I see with many Filipino restaurants. When they... Yes, and they use packaged mixes and a lot of Worcestershire sauce and Maggi, and which is, and salting it to death and putting sugar when it's not supposed to be sweet. And I think that's a big problem, that people have just to realize that, if you start using, like, let's say, organic produce or high quality meats, then the dish you produce would be high quality too.
So I know how your husband and you are like such sticklers for quality, because I read in the book too that he was so excited during his first, I think it was his first restaurant job in New York as a lunch chef or something, when he was telling you that if you ordered a souffle, you'd have to wait like 40 minutes for it, because they had to melt the chocolate and whip up the egg whites and do such stuff.
That's his background, and we're not as sticklers as that, but absorb that philosophy where, when the food we serve to you is the food that I will eat.
Yes.
And I don't want to kill myself, I want to be healthy. Right. So you want to give the best to your customer.
Right. So one thing that I also notice is that you're not afraid to innovate. Like, for example, pandesal. This is the first ever pandesal recipe that I've come across using ube.
Well, now, chefs now in the Philippines are playing around with their ingredients. That this is the revised edition. And this whole chapter now captures our own development and our own philosophy with looking at our food. And I start off with 2 heritage recipes from Bulacan, which is cooking chickens in palayok. And then we put in a new dinuguan recipe using the internal organs, which is the real thing. Yes. We are not afraid now to say, look, this is how we eat dinuguan.
Sa atin, mga lamang loob.
Yes. And I read in the New York Times lately, this was about a week or 2 ago, and said, the newest, hottest ingredient, blood.
Yeah.
We're right there with it.
They've sung praises for blood sausage in a long time, so what's wrong with eating chocolate meat? All right. So where can they get a copy of the latest edition of your book?
Well, it's available in Amazon, and Barnes and Noble. Any major bookstore, you should be able to get it.
I got mine from Barnes and Noble, because that's where my kids and I hang out on Sunday afternoons. But anyway, thank you so much for spending the afternoon with us. Does Purple Yam have a website that they can?
Yes, it's purpleyamnyc.com.
All right. So when you go to New York City, don't forget before you go, browse their website first, check out the address, make a reservation, and go visit Miss Amy Besa and Mr. Romy Dorotan. And make sure that you have a taste of their cuisine, our cuisine. So salamat po ng marami sa inyo, and good luck to you and your newly revised book.
Yes.
Okay. Salamat ng marami mga kaibigan. Wag po kayong alis at babalik agad ang Hataw Pinoy Chicago. Magandang hapon muli sa inyong lahat mga kaibigan, and welcome back to Hataw Pinoy Chicago. And we're privileged to come here inside the kitchen of MrsA's Cupcakes, located at 6 South Northwest Highway in Park Ridge, Illinois. And we're here with the owner, Miss Maridel Anama. Kumusta po, Tita Maridel?
Very well, thank you. Maski na may tornado.
Oh, maski may tornado. Talaga namang, we're here, and this is my first time ever inside MrsA's Cupcakes. But of course, we've had the privilege of tasting your cupcakes when you used to have that place in Old Orchard.
Yes, that's me and my daughters, Kylie and Migs. Come on. They're the ones that are the ones behind this store. I'm just working for my daughters.
So the daughters are now the owners, Kylie and Midge. Okay, so can you tell us about the cupcakes that you do here, that you bake here at MrsA's Cupcakes?
Well, we have 18 different flavors. We have the traditional red velvets, carrots, and then we do mocha, mango, buko pandan, and ube as our Filipino flavored cupcakes.
We're working on sans rival actually too.
She's the one who creates the new cupcakes, like the s'mores, the German chocolate. So these are all their flavors. The new flavors are really her. The two of them are the ones creating them, saying, "Mom, let's do this."
Oh, actually,
All right.
that's my oven.
So, Kylie, tell us about how is it to run a cupcake business, knowing that your parents have done it before, diba? And this is now your own.
They
Is
just
it
call
hard?
me their daughter. I don't even have a real name. It's Leslie's daughter, Marty Dell's daughter, and I try pushing it. So, all right, just don't get burnt.
Okay. So, what's this? So, when you think about cupcakes, how do you meld it with Filipino flavors?
We just talk it over, and we just read up on magazines, and I look online to see what other Filipino bakeries are doing, or if we can do something the same way.
I wish you had a smell-o-vision because it smells really fantastic in here. So, what's your favorite cupcake here?
It's actually named after me. It's Kylie's favorite, and it's yellow cake with chocolate buttercream, and it's really light chocolate frosting.
And yours, I suppose, is the mango cupcake?
Well, we created that, but basically, our business back home was the Rolling Pin Bake Shop. So many of those recipes, we just tweaked them and brought them here for the American market.
I see. So do you do like events as well? Like if somebody has a wedding or a birthday?
We do. We even go over there. We set up and everything. You pick your colors, your flavors, and yeah, it's great.
Some of the things that they've
Okay. So can you tell us about yung flavors na nandito ngayon? Can you tell us about it?
I have yellow vanilla. I've got carrot. We haven't drawn the carrots yet. This is the buko pandan. This is just regular yellow cakes and chocolate cakes with coconut. I have red velvet. I've got mango and s'mores. And then I have pumpkin and then banana with chocolate. And we use banana chips from the Unimart.
Oh.
We go to Ian May. I love Ian May.
Okay, wonderful. So would you like, do you have a website, by the way?
Yeah, we do. It's MrsA'sCupcakes _cookies.com.
All right, so if they want to order, what number should they call?
847-823-9210. I'm always the one to answer, so.
Okay, so thank you so much, Kylie, Mitch, and Tita Maridel over here. And wag niyong kalimutan, mga kaibigan, if you want quality cupcakes, please visit Mrs. A's Cupcakes, number 6, Northwest Highway in Park Ridge, just by the Pickwick Theater. So thank you once again. Titikman ko yung mango cupcake na kanina mo pa ino-offer. All right.
Thank you so much, and I hope you come and support Filipino.
Yes, that's right. Support ang ating mga kababayan. That's the only way for us to go up, support each other. So, wag po kayong alis mga kaibigan. Babalik agad ang Hataw Pinoy Chicago. Lika, tikman natin yung cupcake mo, tita.
There's the mango.
Mango one. Okay, sandali. Tikman natin, ha. Nako. Sandali. Kakain talaga ako. Let's see. Sarap. Lasang mango cream refrigerator cake. Sarap talaga. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy Besa, and I am the owner of Purple Yam Restaurant in Brooklyn, New York, along with my husband, Chef Romy Dorothan. And we both have written a cookbook called Memories of Philippine Kitchens. And you are watching Hataw Pinoy Chicago.